Hello, it's Katie here from Mount Alexander Fruit Gardens. Today we're talking about thinning, which is the practice of taking some of the fruit off the tree, off your fruit tree while it's still tiny. And there's four main reasons we do that. In the first video that we did about thinning, we talked about what's probably the most important one of those, which is to break the cycle of biennial bearing that most fruit trees like to get into. So if you're interested in that topic, have a look at that other video. Today we're showing you thinning on some plum trees, and we're going to talk about one of the other really important reasons why we thin, and that's to protect the structure of the tree. This is a Mariposa blood plum, and you can see this is a typical shape of a fruit tree with the main limbs going up here, and then all of this lovely fruiting wood coming off the limbs, which is where most of the fruit is carried. Now if you have a look at a branch like this, you can see how many plums are on that one branch in these big bunches, and if you imagine how big those plums are going to get, that's a lot of weight for that branch to carry, and there's a really good chance that it'll be too heavy and the branch will break. And you've probably all experienced this before. We still get broken branches in the orchard as well sometimes if we don't get the thinning done quickly enough, for example. But we can't show you any of those because then we remove those broken branches in winter. But this is a great example of the sort of the part of the structure of your tree that's most at risk. So the way we protect it is to take a lot of this fruit off, and we're doing it now while the fruit is still tiny, because then we're not going to lose much in overall yield. The tree will still put all of that energy that it's going to produce during the year into the fruit, but just into less pieces of fruit. So we don't lose much in overall yield. Now you can see plums grow on a short stem, so when we're deciding which ones to take off, what we're trying to do is leave the ones that are remaining hanging in as much space as possible, and we choose the biggest ones to leave. And also plums are very thin skinned, and so they do get damage on the skin quite easily, and so when we're deciding which ones to remove, just check if there's any there that are already damaged, and we would remove those ones first. So on a bunch like this, we'll choose the biggest one to leave. You don't need to worry about these little ones, they'll naturally fall off anyway. They haven't been fertilised and they just fall off by themselves. So then we'd leave that one plum from that bunch hanging in that space all by itself. And then we just do the same with each bunch. We don't leave any two plums hanging together. So if we go down the branch and then back along the branch this way, okay, now if you look back along that branch, you can see there's a plum here, one over there at the back, here, and they're dotted along the branch. I'd probably even remove this plum here because there's plenty in that space. There's three other plums there, and this one, because it's sitting on top of the fork of the branch, it's really vulnerable to getting damaged, and if you have a look underneath, it's already damaged. Now if you have a damaged plum hanging in a space and that's the only plum there, definitely leave it. We don't pull off all the damaged fruit by any means. It's going to be a second grade plum, and that's fine. It's still going to be perfectly usable. It's just that if you have a choice between a clean plum and a damaged plum, of course you pull off the damaged one at this early stage. So there you have it. Another really important reason for thinning is to protect the structure of your tree. And now is the perfect time to be doing it. This is early spring, and because the tree hasn't put very much of its energy into the fruit yet, you're not throwing away very much of your overall fruit yield by doing your thinning now. So get thinning.